Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. I don't think you can see outside the window there, but it's a pretty nasty day. Like the fog is thick, which kind of feels very much like the vibe, the energetics of being completely blind to what the heck is happening in this awakening process. So many years now, I have been pinpointing times in the future and saying, that's when I'm going to get out of this. That's when I'm going to get to the other side. That's when it's all going to work itself out. And it hasn't. It hasn't at all because my mind, despite all attempts to control this journey by speeding it up, I'm going to just do an extra hour of yoga per day. I'm going to double down on this. I'm going to this, that. Despite all of the attempts of my mind to control this awakening process, my mind has failed. My ego has failed. My personal will has failed. And that's kind of the point of this journey. But the collapsing of your own will, your own ego, the ego death process is, without question, the most painful thing any human being could potentially go through. Honestly, now it's pouring. A great purge is happening. A great purge was happening 2 days ago for me. A lot of grief. I can't even describe it as grief. I don't know. When I had my Kundalini back in 2021, September, that night I started crying. And I didn't stop crying for years. Every single day I was just crying. And what was strange about it is I was just kind of resigned to the fact that I was crying. Sometimes it would be very, very painful. And other times it was just a constant flow of tears. And I would be cracking jokes as I was crying. I'm like, here I am crying again and cooking dinner. Here I am crying and cleaning. I would still be somewhat functional. It as just tears just flowed from me. All the tears I hadn't cried throughout my entire life were all suppressed, repressed, locked in to this deep cavern inside of me. And the more I cried, the more weight I lost. I will say that. And over those last 4.5 years, eventually the tears kind of slowed down to almost a stop. But now it's there's these certain locked in places that are even harder to reach. Okay, even harder to reach. But when you reach them, it's not normal crying. It's dying. It's an aspect of your ego dying, because I've kind of looked at it it's like Pandora's box, or there's a closet that's been opened, and within the closet there's closets. There's even more hidden back there because they're unconscious to us. We don't see them, right? We're not aware of them. And so another closet door was unlocked inside the closet. And it was such a tricky aspect of the mind that I couldn't really observe it at play until 2 days ago. So I'm going to give you a little bit of story, and this may be a mistake, but at this point in time, I kind of figure there are no mistakes on this journey. Everything is divine. And the very concept of mistakes ties into what I'm talking about, which talks about like control. Like somehow some people have the ability to like maneuver through life and other people don't. So the people that don't are like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. I'm wrong, or I'm making a mistake. And I don't think that's actually what it is at all. I think that for everybody, what happens in their life, as I talked about in my last video, is divinely orchestrated. So whether this is a mistake or not, who knows? But here goes. So, as you know or don't know, my Kundalini was activated by a twin flame scenario, or a catalyst soul, or a mirror soul, or a spiritual ascension partner. I don't know, and I'm not going to profess to call myself an expert of these things. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of the expert of these things are giving misinformation. A lot of things I've been told along my journey really haven't helped me at all. In fact, I think they may have like hindered my growth. And in so doing, I think that there is an element, like they get money for this. Whenever there's money involved, it's all about the money. Whenever there's money involved, I don't 100% trust somebody, because, they're going to say what they're going to say because they're selling something. Their motivation is influenced by money. And that means that often money supersedes truth. And I wonder if even within, well, I don't actually wonder, I believe that within the spiritual community, there are misdirections. There are misdirections for many reasons. But those misdirections are going to keep you circling, looping, barking up the wrong tree, going down the wrong rabbit hole. There's a lot of half-truths, mistruths. Don't even get me started on the whole law of attraction teachings, because I have many theories about that. And I'll do a video about it maybe one day, but that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about this crazy, crazy journey. So I have listened. I fell down the rabbit hole of listening to a lot of these experts. And the one thing that it made me feel is that I was doing something wrong, I was doing something wrong because I was still missing this person. And I should be over it by now. And I was doing something wrong because I wasn't letting go. I was doing something wrong because, I couldn't get to this magical place of, when you just don't care anymore is when they come back, is one of the things I've heard over the years. And I just think a lot of that is bullshit. I just think a lot of the things that I've been told over the years has been bullshit, and it's disabled me. And one way that it's disabled me is because it's not living authentically. It's not living in my truth. And it's not allowing me to be even human. It's forcing me to stay in the mind. In fact, it's not just within the spiritual community, because it's also within the psychological community, that it's like, these are normal behaviors and traits. And if you deviate from those, then you're doing something wrong. And then there's all the trauma programming that says you need to like be like this and fit in this box. And if you don't, you're doing something wrong. So our mind is constantly obsessed. Well, my mind, don't know about yours, but my mind is constantly obsessed with doing something wrong. Like, and this ties into like the perfectionist archetype of like, as well as like the master controller archetype, which is, if I just control my circumstance, then I'll be doing whatever's right. And then I'll get the desirable outcomes. And what I have learned is that's just bullshit. It really, at the end of the day, it's bullshit. And the power of the mind, as awesome as it has been throughout my life, has actually debilitated and kept me out of alignment with soul, with my heart, my own heart space. So when I had this very bizarre circumstance of meeting this counterpart, I didn't like it. There was a lot of me, like at the beginning, yes, in that like little bubble love phase, there was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And because my heart got activated in a way that was outside of my mind's control, right? So my mind was controlling my life. And then this circumstance happened that broke my heart open. And that was not in my control. And I can even remember, because like I came clean with my ex-husband like almost right away, and was like, listen, I need to sit down and talk to you, because I've had this weird circumstance happen and I have fallen in love with somebody, and no, nothing has happened, but I'm in love with somebody. And if I'm in love with somebody, that means I'm not in love with you. And therefore, you know, this isn't going to work. I want a divorce. So I've talked about how grateful I am for that. Okay. Just for that alone, I'm like beyond grateful. But when I was talking to him, I was like, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, I am in love with this person, but I don't even know if I like him. And he was like, what? What do you mean? I go, well, I don't even know him. Like, I really don't know this person very well. And so he was kind of digging for information and this, that, and the other. And the situation is this person that came in that I had this heart activation for, and then I had my Kundalini, and then I had soul recognition, and then just my world began to melt. This person used to come in and work in my house, and he worked in the capacity, this is further than I've ever gone in saying anything about him, but he worked in my house in the capacity of a plumber. And I redid every single bathroom in my house because I was a DIY girl. So every time I replaced a sink or built a shower or moved a toilet, you know, I needed a plumber. So plumbing projects always preceded seeing this person. And my mind, with pattern recognition, put those two things together. And despite, you know, we haven't seen each other in years, okay? I've had no plumbing problems and they've moved. So, like, there's no reason for us to see each other. Absolutely zero reason has, you know, for us to see each other. Or really communicate. And he went off and lived his own life. right? We were both embedded in relationships, and although I left mine, he didn't leave his, and he's just off doing his own thing. You know, this is what they call, I guess, the separation phase. And the separation phase has 100% served me for my highest and greatest good. Okay, despite my thinking and my mind going, we should be together. This, what's happening? This isn't right. You know, we belong together. This is my person. The reality was this separation phase is like the doorway to keep that closet door open. So all the traumas keep coming out. You know, like once that door has been opened, you can't close it again. And it's been healing one thing after another on an energetic level. You know, it kicks into motion your spiritual awakening. And, you know, that's what the journey is all about. And I've grasped that. I've understood that. So on this journey, my mind has really wanted to police myself. And because it hasn't really liked the journey, I have described often the journey as being brutal, and it has been. It 100% has been brutal. That's got nothing to do with this person, but this person activated, and it's been brutal. So on this journey, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this person. Like not a day has gone by where I have not thought about this person. There's been many phases, usually around the full moon, where there is profound longing and loss and grief on a level I can't even begin to describe. And I have felt all along like I am doing something wrong because I just can't get over it. Because society says, you know, it's illogical. My brain says it's illogical to love somebody that you knew for 3 weeks and nothing happened, and you know they have their own life and you have your life. It's illogical. So in attempt to override the heart, my brain has concocted walls to help keep me sane. Really, at the other end of the day, to help keep me sane. And one of the ways that it's done that is this low grade, what I call policing or judging or lecturing. I've got this little ego part of me that's like, you're so stupid. Don't be so stupid. Get over it. You know, move on. You gotta like shut this down. You gotta just stop it. And so I've been like, I'm fine. I'm like so over this. Oh yeah, sure, it's full moon. I'm gonna miss him for a couple of hours and then I'll get on with my day. And you know, like my mind has wanted to override the heart. And I failed. I have failed. And what happened was, because since I've moved in, it's been insane. Like the plumbing problems that I've had here, it goes beyond reason. Okay, so first we had frozen pipes, no water. Then because we had frozen pipes, we had air in the pipe. I still have air in the pipe. So every week I need to have the pipes, the cistern or the tank flushed to get the air out of the pipes because the bathroom sink was spitting, and the bathroom faucet therefore also needed to have a new faucet put on it. Then with all of these situations happening, apparently the sediment got into the hot water heater, and then I didn't have hot water. And so then they had to flush the hot water tank. And then 2 nights ago, the hot water tank that had just been flushed started leaking. And I was laughing. I'm laughing about this. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is redonkulous. You know, not to mention all the like signs you keep getting taunted with by spirit, like their name everywhere. Like all of a sudden, it's the most popular name that every single man has everywhere I go. I'm like, come on, like there's not that many people that have this name. And you know, all the like 1111s and 2, and I'm like, I just ignore that stuff, like to the most part, because my mind's like, I'm overriding this. I am like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. This is not what my mind wants. My mind is like judging me, my heart, for this situation because it wants to control it. It's like, this is nonsense. But with all these plumbing problems, I was like, this is just too much. So I sent them a text. Oopsie daisies. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people out there might judge me for it, and I suppose I still judge myself for it. But it is what it is. So I'm going to just let that go. It wasn't an inappropriate text. I simply said I could really use a plumber with the laugh emoji because I thought it was funny at the time. And I didn't really think about it. It was one of those like, I have to do this. Like I didn't sit down and contemplate it. I knew the likelihood that I was going to get a response was nil. But like, I was like, I'm just going to do this. And so I sent off that text, and I didn't hear anything. And for a few hours, I'm like, I'm totally fine. I knew it. Nothing's big. Nothing's happening here. Meanwhile, I am scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And like hours are passing at this point. And my highest self says to me, you're distracting. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just like, I'm just taking it easy today. No, you're distracting. And I'm like, okay, I'm distracting. And on my awakening path, I have had to let go of all forms of denial, distortion, distracting, numbing. You know, I have given up smoking, drinking, pot, pharmaceuticals, food, trauma bonds, you know, busying yourself by doing. And, you know, anything and everything under the sun that keeps you from sitting in the emotion. But I gave all that, and I've learned to sit in the emotion, but I didn't want to sit in this particular emotion. As I said, this was the closet door that was in the closet door. So this scenario of this ridiculous amount of plumbing problems triggered me to go and send a text, for which I got ignored, which I didn't want to sit in. I'm like, I've done this wound before. I don't want to sit in the like what it is to be ignored wound. We're over it. I'm so fine. So fine. I'm not bothered. I like it, you know, the mind is controlling, justifying, judging. And so I put the phone down and I lay there. And I kept asking myself, are you okay? Yep, I'm fine. No, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. No big deal. Are you okay? Maybe I'm not okay. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. And then, boom! Like, whatever was hidden inside the door, you know, the closet inside the closet, exploded out of me. And as it exploded out of me, the security guard that was the mind that was trying to control, the controller, the master controller, disintegrated and died. So that was the ego part of me that died 2 days ago, was that I can think my way through this. I can plan and organize and control, and I can keep it all in check. And that part of me completely disintegrated as I got into my heart space and finally accepted, after, now this is 4.5 years, there's nothing I can do about this. I can't control this. It is what it is. I unconditionally love another human being. Is that what our minds are used to? Like, is it something we can even fathom or comprehend? No, it's not, because it's not reasonable. It's not intelligent. It's not a checklist. It's not anything that the mind, the psychology, the experts, the gurus, it's not anything that anybody can say, because as soon as you're saying, you're using words to describe something that just is. You know, unconditional love means loving somebody regardless of who they are, how they show up, if they talk, if they don't talk, if they show up, if they don't show up. You know, it is not a choice. It is not a choice. Like, all this time, for most of my life, I thought you had an element of choice on who you loved. But what I'm learning is, first of all, love is not an emotion. It's not transitory, that like, it just is. It just is. Like, it honestly, it doesn't matter. And I think true love, this journey, part of this journey, the whole point of it is to break down constructs of the mind that says, I need to be with this kind of person, or I need to be, my relationship needs, you know, there's all these lists of like, this is what I want, this is what I need. And yes, there's truth to that, in the sense of like, to be in a relationship, you may need certain criteria met. Like, to be in a relationship, I would need to have like respect, honesty, integrity, reciprocal energy, to be in a relationship. But that has nothing to do with whether you love somebody or not. You can love somebody and be in a relationship, or love somebody and not be in a relationship. That still means you love somebody, right? Those are two totally different things. The construct that is a relationship is conditional. The construct that is love is not. And it is not something you choose. It's not something that maybe even like fits into your mind's definition. Or fits into your life. Like, it may not even fit into your life. Like, one thing I know on this twin flame journey is somebody who said, who wasn't after the money, actually, in a lecture I listened to a long time ago, is that, you know, true twin flames all have massive differences. It's not about like just 100% meeting your other half or anything like that. It's like you meet somebody on a soul level that the connection is mind blowing, because it's supposed to blow up your mind, and love somebody that is in many ways opposite from what you would want. So it's like the Palestinian falls in love with the Israeli. The Black person falls in love with the white person. You know, the older woman falls in love with a younger gentleman. You know, there's huge blocks that prevent union with these people because of social constructs as well as, you know, mental constructs. And so as my mental police guard, my security guard that's like, I'm going to protect your heart, which is trying to do me a favor, you know, like it is trying to protect me. But as that security guard disintegrated and the heart space became more activated, I was like, it's not my fault. Like, I didn't choose this, but it is. It just is. And as like much as I want to wag the finger and like say, you're so stupid, it's not, it can't technically be stupid because it's not something my mind did. It's something that happened to my heart that like I have zero control over. Like I just do. I don't care if I look foolish. I really don't anymore. And I don't care if me talking about it is the wrong thing to do because I might prevent union or this, that, or the other. I'm just not following any advice from anybody that tells me that I should or shouldn't do something, or I should or shouldn't feel something, or I need to be this way or that way. I need to say this or not say that. Like, I give up. Okay. I just give up. I have tried to like navigate through this crazy ass awakening the best I could. And where I have found myself is in this very weird space, great, beautiful house, but very weird space of loving a ghost. And that's just the way that it is. Okay, so I'm just accepting that, and that there's nothing I can do about it. I have grieved and grieved and grieved, and in grieving that, I've also grieved everything else. So, like, when that door gets opened, out pours all of the other grief and the other circumstances that resonate the same. So silence is like a wound that I've had my whole life. You know, like I would send family members messages and be ignored. You know, same with friends. Like I just kind of like, I thought that was love, right? I thought that was love. And it is love. It's me loving people that don't have the capacity or don't have the availability or don't have whatever to love me back. But that's not love. That's relationship. Those are two different things. So I've seen examples throughout my life of loving people that didn't have the capacity or didn't have the availability to love me back. And I assumed that's what love was. And that's not what love was. Love is what comes out of my heart, and I can't control it. I just can't control it. I felt love from my mother. I couldn't control that. I always wanted it to be different than it was. It never was. I had love for my father. He was like partially there. I didn't ever get to have that bond that I see other people have with their fathers. Like, recently, I was listening to one of Craig Holliday's teachings, and he was talking about how he got down on the floor and he was playing Barbies with his daughter. And I just started wailing, crying, because I'm like, I don't think my dad ever got down on the floor and played with me. He was there, but I don't think he ever read me a story. My memory is like him sitting in a chair drinking like a whiskey. And I could sit on his lap as he drank whiskey watching TV. So he was kind of checked out. He was there, but he wasn't there. He wasn't there. You know, there wasn't like father-daughter times. I loved my brother, like, and I still do. But like, there were many instances throughout my life where I was completely rejected. Like, completely rejected. We did not have normal, and nor could we, you know? When you are raised by a narcissist, it's impossible to have a normal relationship with other members in your family because you're triangulated against, you know? So doing things like going to the movies together or partying together or this, that, or the other, that wasn't what we did. Like, that shit like that just didn't happen. Texting each other, calling each other, being in touch with each other, like. And so that was the same with friends, is my friendships were all like the type of friends that would blow in, and for a weekend it would be like a love bomb fest, and then they'd disappear for another 6 months and you wouldn't hear from them. And I'd hear lines like, oh, but we're the type of friends that don't need to see each other all the time. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was just resigned myself to being ignored. That didn't mean I stopped loving. You know, it meant that those relationships didn't have the capacity to show up in the way that I wanted them to, but it didn't stop me from loving. You can't stop the loving. You can't stop the loving. And then in romantic relationships, you know, I had men that just weren't able to show up in a way that I wanted them to show up. And whether it was being abandoned in a foreign country, like, that was all kinds of fucked up. That really was, you know, beyond hurtful an experience. Or the manipulation of having a 15-year-long relationship with somebody that, you know, at the end decides to tell me that they never actually loved me and that the entire relationship was a lie and that they've been abusing me and my son the entire time. Knowingly, consciously. So I have had this great delusion or confusion that love and relationship were the same thing. And slowly over time through this awakening journey, Spirit has peeled away all my relationships, every single last one of them. And I am totally isolated and alone. And that's for my highest and greatest good as well. And, you know, as painful a process as that's been, in a weird way, I'm grateful for it. And I do have new friends now through the wonderful world of online. And they're altogether different. You know, they do show up differently. So I guess today's video is really wanting to talk about and understand how the mind muddies the water, and when it comes to love, and morphing it into the same definitions as relationship. And I think what happens, my opinion now, after being on this journey for 4.5 years, is accepting that love is a state of being. It is not an emotion. It is just, it's a state of being. It's just like, I can't stop my heart from doing what my heart does. my heart loves people that it loves. And it loves them unconditionally. And the part of me that doesn't want to do that is the mind, the ego part, that is saying, be careful, I don't want you to get hurt. And as the mind dissolves, what comes about is a new level of compassion for myself. In the grief that has been like beyond anything human, really, but apparently it is. I have learned to be compassionate to myself. Like, I am so sorry that this hurts. I am so sorry that they left you. I am so sorry that they are silent. I am so sorry they're not available. I am so sorry, they lacked the capacity. I'm so sorry, and I'm not talking just one person. I'm talking all the people, right? Because it's a trigger to release all the trauma, not just like one little circumstance. And the more I show myself compassion, the more I am able to honor the love that is in my heart that just is there. Like, it's just there. I can't get rid of it, man. Like, I have tried. I've looked for the off-ramp. I have looked for like the red button that like shuts it down. I've looked for the like, oh, I'm going to get to the place where I don't care, come, go, do whatever, like I've looked for all of that. And it just hasn't. It just hasn't. So I need to accept me for me. And I'm going to do that now. And I'm not going to listen to the mind anymore at all. I'm really not. The mind wants plans. The mind wants to figure it out. The mind wants, solutions. And every time my mind speaks, I'm just, it's not for us to know. And Spirit put this love in my heart for my highest and greatest good, for my spiritual awakening, to transform me in a way that I could never have seen coming, that is illogical. It doesn't make sense. You're never going to figure it out. You're never going to like alter the outcome. If I do this, maybe this will happen. And if I don't do that, maybe this will happen. You're never going to be able to alter the outcome. So you just might as well give up, and surrender even further into the unknown, into the fog, and assume that at some time something's going to happen in my life, and I don't know what that is. I have no idea. I am like everything has been stripped away from me. Absolutely everything. Not just like all the ways that I like deluded myself and numbed myself, but like all my relationships, as I said, my home, my career, my job, there's nothing left. Like, I just don't understand like what, and I'm not supposed to understand. But like, what is left? What is left? My body. It seems to be the only thing that's left. And if God wants to take my body, I'm not arguing at this point. I'm like, okay, you took my knee. You want me to sit down and sit and stuff? All right, it's getting better. But that's, you take whatever. There is no figuring it out. There is no controlling it. There is no, I did this wrong or that right. There is no, it is just sit still and wait for something to show up in your life that is the next thing. And like, it feels like being in a total like vacuous void of like unknowing. Like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to make money? What does spirit want me to do? Where am I going? Who am I going with? Am I ever going to have an in-person friend again? Like, am I ever going to have a relationship? I don't know how that's possible. Okay, I don't know how that's possible. I am in love with a person. And I am not going to get into a relationship when I'm in love with somebody else. So I don't know. Is spirit going to take this love and minimize it down to the size of tolerable so I could like be with somebody else? I don't think that's possible. It's been 4.5 years. So then you have to like sit in the acceptance of, well, maybe I will be alone. Maybe I will. And if that's the case, I have no choice. There's 0 choices I have about anything. Like, seriously, nothing. Nothing I can choose. There is no, like, thinking my way out of this at all. And it's a little scary. It's a little scary to have no mind left. It's a little scary. And I'm going to just keep sitting in it. I'm counting down to April 2nd when I hope that spirit will say, okay, sit down and write, or sit down and paint, or, do something. There's literally like no doing. I've been brought into like total nothingness. Total nothingness. With no attachments to anything or anyone or any outcome or any trajectory or any plan. Like, nothing. And I just didn't think that awakening was going to be like this. I didn't think it was going to feel like this. Recently, a friend asked me, because they had a breakdown of a relationship, and she was like, why can't people just show up for me the way that I need? And my answer for her was go fish. And I've used this analogy before. That you have in your hand a set of cards, and you go up to people and you're like, hey, do you got any 2s? And they go, here's a card. And they hand you a 4. And you're like, I wanted 2s. Sorry, no 2s, right? So they simply don't have the capacity in one way or another for whatever reason. And maybe that's their own trauma. Maybe that's their life circumstances. Maybe that's whatever. That they can't give you back 2s. But the point of this is the fact that you have 2s. You have 2s. And if 2s is love, you're like, I have love. I have love. And whether or not somebody else outside of you has 2s, you still have 2s. You still have the love that you have, right? Like, so as we go through life and we look for relationship, I think what happens is we say, do you have twos? And they go, no, I got fours, sixes, and aces. And we're like, that's close enough. And it doesn't work. And it doesn't work. I believe there are other twos out there. I do. I have faith that my community is going to meet their twos. Maybe all of us twos are like currently in our isolation tank for our purification, and the twos are going to show up this year or next year, and we're going to go, oh, this is why it didn't work with anybody else. And we're going to understand that like our whole life we've been in a sea of fours and we wanted twos. And that would be beautiful. That would be absolutely beautiful. But until then, we have to accept that the love that we are seeking is inside us. It's inside us. We've always had the capacity for love. And so in searching for it and seeking it and not finding it, it hurt. And so take this love and turn it around and show yourself a fuck ton of compassion. I am so sorry that that happened to you. I am so sorry you are on your own. I am so sorry for all the betrayals and the hurts. I am so sorry. Divine love is not pink hearts and sparkly nonsense. It rips you open. It destroys your mind and gets us out of the age of reason and into the age of heart-centric existence. And the process or the technology, I like it when somebody used the term, the twin flame technology. And I see it as like a teeter-totter that is climbing, I don't know how to describe it. I can see it in my mind's eye, these little notches that when one goes down, it like on an elevator shaft, it's constantly like this. And so each trigger that you do to each other, like triggering each other. So in my case, it's the silent, unresponded text. Each trigger, it's like, it opens the doorways to all the stuff that's been hidden away, and that like cleans out. And then I'm sure, no doubt, that I trigger the crap out of him, probably because I texted him, I don't want to deal with this, who knows? I have no idea. But this constant triggering is a means to help us ascend out of the mind and into the heart. So like ascension is actually descension. And I've said that before. You got to go down to go up. And it's pulling us up out of like egoic identity and into a heart space. So it is not a relationship by our definition or our interpretation or even our value structure of what a relationship should look like. It's completely dissolving it. the checklists. It's completely dissolving because they're not going to have all the checks. And in fact, they'll have qualities that really like irritate you or don't fit nicely into your household. Like I can remember that everyone has challenges. Find me a twin connection that doesn't have massive blocks that need to be moved, whether it be race, economic, or personal values, belief structures. I knew one set of twins that were like forced into separation because one had children, the other one was like, I don't want children. I certainly don't want children from some other man to raise. So like our staunch beliefs about what's good, what's bad, our dualistic thinking of I like this, I don't like this, is going to be challenged within the framework of this spiritual connection with somebody that is going to challenge everything you ever believed about yourself and everything you ever believed about how you're supposed to relate to others in this world. So the technology itself, God's technology of this trigger, release, purification process is, beyond my comprehension. However, it works. It works. I'm a totally different human being than I was 6 years ago. I in every conceivable way possible. I'm still changing daily, I just bought myself some new clothes and I was like picking all these colorful, pretty colors, but to me it was all about the soft fabric. I was like, it's got to be soft fabric. I want loose. I want comfy. Because my priorities have completely changed. Like the trying to be the cool chick, I had bought no black, 0 black. And for a long time, my entire wardrobe was black. And I don't know. The technology is all kinds of messed up. It's the process of purification is painful as all get out, but it's doing something to me. It's doing something to me. And I suppose I'm going to learn now and integrate what it is to live out of my mind. I can hear in my ego, yeah, but, and I'm like, no, sorry. This is what it is. My heart's going to do what my heart's going to do. Can't do anything about that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There's no conditions. I sure wish this path had been easier. This is hard stuff. So if you're on the journey, I am sending you so much love and so much understanding and so much compassion. Peace. Peace in.